Welcome to this week's lecture. This week we're going to be looking at peers or friendship. So we are going to look at how children learn to be children and then how they learn the skills to be adults within their culture as well. So we know that children learn their childhood skills based on play. So Jean Piaget said that play is the work of children. So children should be playing, they should be having experiences with adults and also with peers in order to learn how to be friendships, because we can translate that play into the skills that they're going to need to have when they're adults within their culture. So how do you do conflict resolution or negotiation? How do you cooperate? How do you share? All of that involves skills that they're learning from their culture, and they're going to be learning that through play as they're growing up. So some of the ways that we help children learn is through reinforcement and through modeling. So reinforcement is really when a peer or anybody really reinforces a desirable behavior with positive attention. So if you've ever been out to the safari park, if you've ever been to the bird show or to a zoo or anything like that, they train the animals at the zoo by giving them fish. So if a seal, claps their hands together, then they get a piece of fish to reinforce that behavior. Or a bird to fly across the stage, they're going to get some peanuts because that reinforces the positive behavior of flying across the stage. So if a 2-year-old shares, the peer or the friend who's also 2 might smile and hug the child. So then the child gets positive reinforcement for that behavior that they just exhibit. So that was positive. We like sharing. If we smile or say thanks or anything like that, that's going to be positive attention that that child is most likely going to like. We also have a lot of modeling. So adults do a lot of modeling of what they expect from children by just doing their regular behaviors, and the child sees it and tries to model it or emulate it. And then peers also model social behavior, and they pick up on messages and cues from their friends. So children now are very into YouTube videos. And my daughters are super into wearing JoJo bows, which you might have seen, which are these gigantic, brightly colored bows that they wear on the top of their heads, based on JoJo Siwa, which is she's kind of a reality star, and now she's a singer and she has videos and things like that. But it might be playing a certain game on the playground, playing Fortnite with your friends, anything like that might be modeled by your peers and your friends. So here's an example.
Well, thank you. How thoughtful. Would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. I didn't notice. Have a chocolate. You're here a lot now.
All right, so what was Sheldon doing in that clip? He was socializing Penny. He was positively reinforcing the behavior he wanted to see. So when Penny would do something that he liked, like night talking, not sitting in his spot, clearing the dishes, then he would positively respond to that behavior with the chocolate reinforcement. So that is a very technical thing that Sheldon was doing, because that's how Sheldon is. He's very scientific and things like that. We're not always aware that we're doing that. Like my previous example was, if a child shares, then their friend might smile and hug them. That's just an immediate instinctive response that you're happy that you got shared with. But that reinforces to the child that you like that. And if they want peer friendships, they're probably going to continue with that as well. On the flip side, we can have punishment. So sometimes children will get rejected or victimized or harassed or bullied in order to stop a behavior that the child's doing, or to kind of see the child or change the child or hurt the child. And that can be part of our systems, because not everything in our microsystem, meso, exo, and macro are great. Our system includes the negatives and the positives, the strengths and the weaknesses. So if a child is being bullied or harassed, the microsystem like family, parents, aunts and uncles, the school, the principal, the teachers, and social services and the community all should seek to eliminate that behavior because we don't want that to happen. We want children to have good peer relationships and we don't want them to have kind of punishment relationships. Apprenticeship is when older children model or directly show younger children how to do a more difficult task. So if an older child shows a younger child a more difficult maneuver on an online game, we would consider that a form of apprenticeship. So if a 7-year-old is teaching a 4-year-old how to do something on Minecraft, that would be great. We love that type of behavior. The child's learning something, they're learning from somebody older, and they are kind of strengthening those peer relationships and peer friendships. So we know that recent research shows the importance of friendship, and it has an impact on mental and physical health. Preschool friendships are helpful in developing social and emotional skills, increasing a sense of belonging and decreasing stress. So we can't expect children to be able to manage their feelings if they haven't had opportunities to manage their feelings. And that's very typical in friendships. If you get upset with somebody because they didn't share with you, how do you handle that? If you need to learn how to share, you're going to have to practice it. If you get upset and you're mad, how do you handle being mad? It also decreases stress. We know after we see our friends, after we hang out, share about our problems, talk, have fun together, and play, that can decrease our stress levels. So people who feel lonely or socially isolated tend to be more depressed, have more health issues, and may also have a shorter lifespan as well. So having a support system can help us handle those hardships. So it's really important over our entire lifespan, not just in childhood, but throughout our entire lifespan until we kind of die and pass away, is that we are not socially isolated, that we have peer support, that we continue to have a microsystem. We have family, maybe the family we choose. We have peers and friendships. We have good working relationships at our work. We have media that supports that, not just social media, but actual like face-to-face. And then also our community and the spaces that we can have our friendships as well are really, really important. So being socially isolated can lead to health problems. This is a personal reflection that you guys are going to kind of do this week. So you're going to read an article from an online source that I have linked for you guys. And in it is this kind of image right here on the right-hand side. And it's going to take you through these kind of top types of friendship that you might have in your own life. So you're not going to be thinking about a child this week. You're going to be thinking about yourself, actually. So what kind of friendships do you have? Are they comfortable and natural? Are they negative? Are they positive? Is there trust? Is there not trust? Is it healthy but not enjoyable? Is it enjoyable but not healthy? So you're going to read through and start to understand some of these different types of relationships and friendships you might have in your own life. And then online, you're going to answer these questions. So, who are your friends? And share to the extent that you feel comfortable. Nobody else reads these than me. I don't have a grader. I wish. But I don't have anybody who helps me with grading. I read them all myself. So who are your friends? If you want to share, do you like them? And you don't have to give me names. I don't care. But maybe describe who your friends are. Are they students with you? Are they people who are working? Anything like that. Do you actually like your friends? So maybe you have a really healthy friendship. You guys, it's pretty positive. There's a lot of trust, but you don't actually enjoy hanging out with them. Maybe you've grown past them. So you have this, you were great friends in high school, but now it's just not where you guys are right now. And you just kind of feel like you need maybe different friends, not to get rid of those friends, but it's not as enjoyable as it used to be because maybe they're into something really different than you're into now. So do you actually like your friends? Would you make a change? And if you could, why and how might you make that change? So if you're having problematic or kind of really not healthy and not enjoyable relationships, how can you make a change? How can you meet new people? How can you enforce boundaries with the friends that you have now in order to make them more healthy and better for you? So we're talking about peers and friendships for children in this lecture, but I want you to kind of personally reflect on friendships in your own life. So we have two different types of play. So one of them is adult directed right here on the left hand side, and the other is child directed. So adult directed types of play is controlled by adults, directed by adults. That's why we call it that. There it's typically sports teams. You have an adult coach who helps you. Games or recess play, typically there's a duty or an playground supervisor. So while the children are all playing, an adult is kind of choosing or enforcing what you can play or cannot play. And then this can be like recess, and it can also be PE as well, where the PE teacher you're still playing probably at PE, but the adult is directing, today we're gonna play softball. Yesterday we did dance. So if we lose some of the benefits of child-directed play, and child-directed play over here on the right-hand side, we really like because it helps children make decision-making skills. And there's a lot of creativity. They discover their own areas of interest, and they engage fully with their passions. So we do like child-directed play. We like adult-directed sports, taekwondo, judo, after-school sports, dance practice, PE, anything like that. Those are all great. We want that. We want more adults volunteering to do that. But we also want child-directed. So children have more space and time to play with each other. So at the playground, there's some supervision from the parents, but it's not a lot. So the children can climb a tree or pretend to be, Moana, something like that. So we want some child-directed play. A lot of the play in preschools, while there is a teacher there, a lot of it is child-directed. So the teacher doesn't come over to the little pretend kitchen area and say, today you're going to be the mom, you're going to be the dad, and you're going to be the firefighter. No, they're going to go over there and they're going to be like, I'm going to be the firefighter cowboy, and I'm going to be the cat mommy, stuff like that. And they're playing together, and they kind of have this really fun and funny kind of pretend play that they're creating themselves as children. So I'm going to play a little video. And this is a very short video. All right. So that was child-directed play. The children didn't get to school one morning, and they were like, the teacher was like, today we're going to make mud pies outside. No, the children probably saw that the sand was wet from the rain the night before, and they started getting out. They maybe got some more water, and now they're making mud pies at a table. So these children are participating in similar or identical activities. There's no formal organization. We didn't hear them talking, I'm the mud pie dad and you're the mud pie mom, and this is what we're making. There's not a lot of formal organization or group direction or even interactions. And there's no goals, it's just making mud pies next to each other. And this could be an example of associative play. So we have within child directive, we also have this type of play, which is called associative play. So this is when children participate in similar or identical activities without any kind of formal organization or group direction. This is an example of peers playing together cooperatively. So associative is kind of no group organization, they're just associating with each other. This example right here with these children in this picture is very cooperative. They are, in this case, this is a picture of children making a bridge for this truck over here that this little girl has, and how they are going to get around. So the children were talking, they were collaborating together, they were using their language to express what they want, how they want the truck to go, where the truck is going to go. They're learning cognitively. There's some technology, science, and engineering in here. How are we going to make a bridge right here to span the distance? How can we make a ramp so that the truck can go up on the bridge? How will they go back down on a ramp? How will we, if it's a bridge, how are you, once again, like I said, the technology and the engineering between spanning that distance. Those are all kind of early engineering and science and technology skills. So that's when children are playing cooperatively together. So I'm now going to show you some dramatic play with and pretend play. So this is what you remember when you were playing kitchen or mom and dad or anything like that.
exercise their large muscles. They create, they imagine, they fire abilities to kind of regulate emotions. When children pretend, they can play out things that they've already known. And so one thing that's very helpful for children is to provide prior experiences to actually give children some background knowledge that they can base and play on. Cooking is sometimes not as together and whose job is what. The teacher really needed to be here during this week to support your self-regulation.
All right, so all the things that children learn in play was introduced at the beginning, and I like to play that little clip because they're having a little spat maybe. She wants to put her pretend cookies in the oven and the little girl is not moving. So the teacher is helping them kind of negotiate to cooperate. In this case, she was just getting upset, so she gave her the words. She just didn't say share or stop or don't whine. She said, oh, so you want to put your cookies in the oven, and then she told her the words to say, and then the child practiced it. So the next time this happens, hopefully, maybe, the child will have those words that they've already practiced and they can use them again. Things like this need to happen many, many times for children to get it. So being able to use your words to communicate what you want and to talk nicely and to cooperate with others requires a lot of practice. I know many an adult who does not communicate their feelings very well, who gets really, really upset over very small things. So if we have adults in our lives who kind of never learn those skills, then why would we expect children to be any better at it? And maybe those adults in our lives who never learned those skills, if they had had more time and support from parents and teachers, and they had had more experiences where they work with their peers, they might have developed those skills earlier and not be having such a hard time later on in life. I call that kicking the can. So if you never learned it when you're 3, maybe you kick it down kick the can down to when you're 6, then 9, then 19, then 29. If you never learn to cooperate or share with other people, that can be difficult as well. So we have social play, which we've talked about, which is that kind of cooperative. So I'm just highlighting what we've just done these last couple of slides. So we have cooperative social play right here, which are the kids within the block area making the bridge for the trucks. We have dramatic and pretend play, which is the bakery that we just saw. And then we have formal games with rules, Monopoly, kickball, and that's typically adult directed. So we have another one that I want to just talk about really fast is you've seen a lot of pictures of younger children. Now this is middle school, so our middle childhood. So this is children about 6 or 7 years old and their peer grouping. So this is middle childhood, maybe kindergarten to 2nd or 3rd, maybe even 4th grade. And this is your BFF stage. This is when you have your friendship bracelets and you have your best friend and you have slumber parties and sleepovers and you go to each other's house and you just have a very close bond with another child or group of children. Totally normal, totally typical, and we want to encourage it. In our younger ages, you know, your first teacher is your parents and your family and your immediate family. As you hit school age and you go to school, you're going to develop more friends and you are eventually going to start having small groups and kind of BFFs. And that's really, really normal. So you're moving away from your parents and you're learning new skills and new social skills and new emotional skills from your peers. So now we've widened your microsystem a little bit. So now we can add that peer section of your microsystem, which is really important. On the flip side of bullying, because like I said, our ecological system includes both the positive and negatives, or the strengths and weaknesses of kind of human nature, there can be bullying. So at this age in middle childhood, so as you get into school, bullying could happen. The best definition that I've come across is that bullying is an unprovoked aggression intended to inflict injury or discomfort on the victim, and it can be either direct or indirect. So typically, it's not always true, but typically boys are more direct. They're hitting, they're aggressive, they push, they shout at each other, they jostle each other, they elbow each other. Girls are a little bit more indirect, socially isolating, gossiping, having a burned book, something like that. Older children also, because we have in our microsystem media, might engage in cyberbullying. So they're not even at school, they might be an after school program or not, but they're engaging in cyberbullying. Cyberbullying and bullying could be part of media and peers and even school as well. So I think it's different than just being upset or not being nice one day. It's an actual action where you are trying to hurt somebody physically or not. And I think that's a good distinction between you accidentally hurt somebody or you said the wrong thing and you can apologize, versus bullying or being a bully when you are intentionally trying to hurt somebody. Typically, a child who bullies has a difficult home life, so they're in their microsystem, that family parenting style, they might have a lot of aggression at home targeted towards them, or they are being bullied at home. At school, a lot of times they don't feel seen or recognized. Their strengths are not recognized, so maybe they're not doing great in school, but people aren't also seeing that they're great at art or they're great at sports, something like that as well. Their community also might not support them if they see a lot of violence in their neighborhood or through gangs as well. That might support them in being more aggressive. And then our media can be quite aggressive, and we can do a lot of cyberbullying. So sometimes a child who bullies in person or cyberbullies is being bullied or cyberbullied themselves. So how can we support socialization? So we want peer friendships, but in our mesosystem, so connections, or links between our microsystems, so we could have the school and peers, or we could have family and peers, adults can really help make this friend focused. So support older children in cooperating, negotiating, talking, having social groups and clubs, and being able to attend those after school or on weekends. So if you're really good at art, being able to take art classes or meet other children who are really good at art. Go to art summer camps over the summer, clubs and after school programs. Some children love to write and write little stories and take pictures. They could do the school newspaper or help with that. So they could interview the principal. They could write an opinion piece about cafeteria food. So if children are grouped by interest, typically there's a lot of social cohesion. They like each other, they play each other. And then their interests or their bullying will be less likely to happen if they all kind of have a general interest as well. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. In our textbook on page 186, there's Andy's story. And this is a story of kind of school-based violence. And it's an interesting kind of read, so I highly recommend that you guys read Andy's story on page 186 and kind of get a sense of his system. So Andy committed some school-based violence. What could have been done to prevent this? How could his microsystem, his parents, his school, his grandparents, his friends, his community stopped him from doing this? What does bullying have on an individual? So if children are being bullied, what are some of the impacts that we could have on that child? And what impact does bullying have on communities as well? So I highly recommend that you read this kind of really emotional, moving story of a real event that happened in Southern California, and kind of see it through the lens of our microsystem, meso, exo, macrosystem as well. So our mesosystem, as I was talking about, is connections. So our peers or our friends in our family, do you have a family that encourages your friends to come over? Or are you socially isolated? Are you not encouraged to have friends? Your parents don't want you to have slumber parties or go to somebody else's house. That could change your micro and your mesosystem. Peers and media. How do you, if you're a gamer, You probably have friends online if you're a gamer. Do your friends and you go to movies? Do you FaceTime? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Snapchat? A lot of our friendships now are very media based and social media and technology based as well. There's a lot of strengths to that. A lot of people do gaming and develop some really strong relationships through the gaming groups that you have. People have book clubs and movie clubs as well, where they have strong friendships. And even being able to FaceTime people is great if they move away. There are downsides to peers and media as well. Some of our social media friendships can be more superficial, which can lead to ideas or feelings of isolation. But with our younger children, a lot of our peer friendships are school-based because you have recess and you get to go outside. There's also been a push over the last couple of years to allow for more recess time, which is great, more time for gross motor skills, running and jumping and kicking, and more time to get your wiggles out. And then recess as well as social and emotional. So being able, even though you're in school, to still have peer friendships, talk with each other, cooperate, negotiate as well. And then peers and community. So are there parks? Are there sports? What does your community have to support friendship? Do you live in an older community where a lot of the social services and community and neighborhood things are for older people and maybe not for younger people? Or maybe you live somewhere where there's great sports teams and there's after school programs and there's youth centers and there's parks and recreation and summer camps. That would support you, wouldn't it, in having better peer friendships, because you have more opportunities and resources in your neighborhood to have friendships. So we're going to look at a bit of mesosystems. So community and peers could be gang violence. So gang-related behaviors are typically ethnocentric. And ethnocentric means you're of the same culture. So you might have gangs that are Spanish speaking, you might have Pacific Islander gangs, African American gangs. Typically you come from the same race, ethnicity, and culture. If you are back east, there's a lot of like Italian gangs, like the mob kind of we see in Scorsese movies, or Irish gangs, things like that as well. Typically you're of a lower SES as well, and you were born into a kind of gang-related community or even family and friends as well, and you've had those types of behaviors modeled for you. Typically, if you are in a gang, your parenting style was, so your parents were typically permissive, so very loving, but not a lot of boundaries or consequences. And a lot of times gang affiliation is passed through the parents as well, so through generations. So your parents were, your grandparents were, that's what you've had modeled to you in your culture. Your culture is gang related, and that's the culture that you were raised in. Some ways that we can support children who don't want to be in gangs, or parents who don't as well, would be better employment and volunteer opportunities. So being able to make money outside of the gang yourself, and typically have to replace that income that you would make as part of the gang. And after school sports and clubs as well. Because if you're tired after playing, soccer or football all day long, you're less likely to engage in some of these behaviors. I'm going to play a little bit from this clip about from San Diego. So this is Oceanside, where I live, and the gangs that we have as well here in Oceanside.
County. About half of those gangs are in Oceanside. Escondido has the second highest number in North County with 4 gangs. San Marcos and Solana Beach each have 2 gangs. Police say these gangs were formed years ago to protect certain ethnic groups. Others are transplants from Los Angeles. Police and gang members say these groups are present in almost every city. Jose is a documented gang member in Oceanside. He asked us not to listen to his real name because he fears retaliation. Jose was put into a gang family known as a maniac. Still don't believe there is a gang threat along the coast.
All right, so I think the biggest thing with kind of these gang affiliated behaviors is, like she said, is we need community-based solutions. So while parenting styles can be a part of it, a lot of it is that the child is getting a lot of the peer relationships and their community relationships from the gang. Like that guy said, they're getting them really young in order to get them used to the lifestyle. So they're being reinforced and modeled, all the things that we learned earlier in our lecture today. They're getting that from the gang, and they're being taught what the social skills and cultural skills are of that gang. So we need to have a local community and extended families and parents and education and welfare services and after-school programs and community boards and youth programs and things like that that can take the place of that modeling and reinforcement that they're getting from the gang. So it's not just one person or one family, it's an entire community and neighborhood coming together to have enough safe spaces and safe things to do that are not gang related. I want to just touch on chrono system as well, because that's our kind of our last system. So we've got the micro, meso, exo, macro, and chrono, once again, is time. So that's through time and then also your lifespan as an individual. So kind of through time, how we think about play is very different. So generations previous, children probably had more time to play because there wasn't as much screen time, but they didn't play a lot with adults. So, you know, when children 100 years ago, they would have been playing a lot more with their peers than we do now. Now we're more engaged in our homes as smaller families together, and a lot of our play is on social media or technology. So play has kind of really changed, but at the same time, parents now know more about play and child development and have more resources as well. And then we can also look at the chrono system over your lifespan. So when you were a baby, you played very differently than how you did in preschool. And as a 3-year-old, you played really different than how you were when you were in first grade. Or when you were 16 and you were learning how to drive, you were doing very different things than you were as like a middle-aged old lady like myself. So my hobbies are going to be really different than they are for you guys. Being college students is going to be different than how it is for me as an almost 40-year-old suburban mom of 3. So today we learned about peers and peer friendships and how important they are in the socialization of children. So peers, your friends, are an agent of socialization. They are reinforcing and modeling to you what it means in your culture to be a good friend, how to cooperate, how to work together, how to talk to each other, how to play together. It also can be difficult as children are learning who they are, what their identity is, and if they have unsafe neighborhoods or communities, that can also be difficult as well. All right, guys, I will see you online.